I remember the smell of pine and cinnamon every Christmas morning. It used to be my favorite time of the year. My mom would light those oversized red candles she kept in the cupboard all year, only to burn them for 2 days and pack them away again like precious antiques. My dad would be in the garage trying to untangle lights for the 5th year in a row, cursing under his breath while pretending not to enjoy it. And my sister Emily. Oh, she'd always be in the kitchen burning the marshmallows on top of the sweet potatoes, acting like it wasn't her fault every single time. We used to laugh until we cried. We used to be a family. And then something broke, and none of us knew how sharp the pieces would be until they cut deep. This past Christmas, I didn't get a call. Not even a damn text. No Merry Christmas. No we miss you, nothing. I stared at my phone all day like a fool, refreshing my notifications as if maybe they'd come through late. As if maybe they were just busy. As if maybe I wasn't forgotten. But I was. Instead, on December 27th, I got an email. The subject line was cold, stiff, robotic, reimbursement request urgent. My heart dropped. I opened it, expecting maybe a medical bill or something related to my dad, who'd been in and out of the hospital last fall. But what I saw made my hands go numb. A formal, itemized invoice for $5,200 sent from Emily. Attached was a short note. Since you were involved in the circumstances that led to the accident, it's only fair you contribute your share. Please pay within 30 days to avoid further action. I thought it was a joke, a cruel one maybe, but real. No, not possible. I stared at the PDF again, squinting at the numbers, trying to understand what the hell had happened. And then the memories started flooding back, disjointed at first, like a shattered mirror reflecting bits and pieces of something I once thought I understood. 6 months earlier, I'd been staying at my parents' place temporarily. I was between jobs, and rent in the city was a joke. I offered to help out around the house, take care of errands, make myself useful until I landed something solid again. And they agreed. It felt like coming home. For a while. But Emily and I had always had a complicated relationship. Ever since we were kids, she played the role of golden child, while I somehow ended up being the experiment. The one who took the wrong classes, dated the wrong people, picked the wrong career, and never seemed to shine quite bright enough under the family spotlight. Still, I tried. I showed up. I supported her when she got married, divorced, then engaged again to a guy none of us liked. I helped her move more times than I can count. And when she bought that damn BMW, the one this invoice was about, I was the one who signed the loan because her credit was still recovering from her last breakup disaster. She promised to keep up with payments. Promised it was temporary. Promised I wouldn't be liable. And then came the 4th of July. That was the night everything started to unravel. She wanted to drive to the lake with her new fiancé, Chase, but he was drunk, stumbling out of the house with a beer still in hand. I begged her not to let him behind the wheel. She laughed it off, called me Mom, and said she was driving. But she wasn't. I found out 3 days later from a mutual friend that Chase had driven, smashed into a guardrail, and totaled the car. No one got hurt, but the car. Gone. Insurance refused to pay because Emily had let someone else drive while she was under the influence too. They voided the claim. And suddenly, the co-signer, me, was on the hook for everything. I confronted her. I still remember her face wide-eyed, fake innocent, defensive as hell. "You're making it a bigger deal than it is," she said. "I'll fix it. You won't have to pay anything. Just chill." But she didn't fix it. She ghosted me for weeks. My calls, ignored. Texts left on read. And my parents, they took her side. Said I was overreacting. Said family means covering for each other. Said I shouldn't throw the past in her face. By October, I moved out. The silence between us grew like a wall, brick by brick, until I couldn't see the other side anymore. And now here I was, staring at a $52,000 invoice as if betrayal had an exact dollar amount. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, rereading the email like it might change. Like maybe I'd misread something. But no, it was clear. She blamed me for the accident. Said I'd pressured her into letting Chase drive, which was a lie so bold I couldn't even process it. The next day, I called my mom. She answered like nothing was wrong. "Hey, sweetie," she said. "How was your Christmas?" "Mom," I said, my voice already shaking. "Did you know Emily sent me an invoice for the car?" She paused, just long enough to confirm what I feared. "Well, yes," she said finally. "She told us you might react badly." I felt like I'd been slapped. "You knew?" I whispered. "And you didn't say anything." "She's going through a lot," Mom replied weakly. "And you did sign the loan." "Because she begged me to," I said, my throat tight. "Because she said it was just until she got her bonus. She wouldn't have needed a car if you hadn't moved in and started using her old one all the time." Mom added, "And that, right there, that sentence nearly broke me." It was like they'd rewritten history, piece by piece, until I was the villain. "I used her old car because mine was in the shop. She offered it," I snapped. "Are you all out of your minds?" And then came the part that shattered what little I was still holding on to. "We didn't invite you to Christmas," Mom said, "because we didn't want the drama. Emily's been under enough stress." She said it like it was logical, like it made perfect sense, like excluding your child from the one holiday meant for family was a kindness to someone else. I hung up without saying goodbye. I was shaking, nauseous, alone. I didn't eat for 2 days. I couldn't work, couldn't think. I felt like I was drowning in cement, sinking deeper into a betrayal I hadn't even seen coming. And then, I decided to fight back. I dug up every text, every voicemail, every email I had with Emily about the car. I made copies of the loan agreement, the insurance policy, the police report that listed Chase as the driver. I created a timeline. I contacted a lawyer friend who owed me a favor. And I decided I wouldn't just roll over and pay the price for their lies. But what I didn't expect was what I uncovered next. It was late at night when I got a message from an unknown Instagram account. No name, just a profile photo of a golden retriever and a single message. "You should look into the car. Chase wasn't just drunk. Ask Emily about the real reason the insurance voided it." My stomach twisted. I replied instantly. "Who are you?" No response. I waited an hour. Nothing, so I followed the advice. I dug deeper. I pulled the police report again, scanned it line by line, and then I saw it. A supplemental note buried in the final page. Not only had Chase been drunk, he had drugs in the car. Not just weed. Cocaine. Enough to trigger a separate criminal investigation. The case had been sealed temporarily due to an ongoing inquiry. But that wasn't even the worst part. I called a contact in the county clerk's office. Pretended to be a journalist. And what they told me made my skin crawl. The car wasn't just Emily's. It was registered in both her and Chase's names. And there was suspicion it had been used to transport more than just party favors. The crash wasn't random. It was deliberate, an attempt to ditch evidence. Emily hadn't been trying to get to the lake. She and Chase had been delivering something, and I was the perfect fall guy, the co-signer, the unemployed sibling, the scapegoat. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. Everything clicked. The invoice, the silence, the sudden hostility. They were covering their tracks. And I was the collateral damage. But I wasn't going to let it end there. I wasn't going to let it end there. That night, something inside me snapped. I'd spent years being the reliable one, the peacemaker, the quiet sibling who let things go, for the sake of family. But this wasn't just betrayal. This was calculated. This was criminal, and they were using my name to clean up their mess. I printed out everything. Emails, texts, call logs, and the original police report with the sealed investigation reference. I even printed the screenshot of that Instagram message. I didn't know if it would ever hold up in court, but it gave me a direction. And I needed that. Direction was the only thing that kept me from collapsing. The next day, I called Emily. She picked up on the fourth ring, her voice falsely chipper, like we hadn't just been at war in silence for months. "Hey, I didn't think I'd hear from you so soon." "No," I said coldly. "I bet you didn't." She went quiet. "I know about the drugs, Emily." There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end, a pause like static silence. What are you talking about?" "Don't," I warned. Don't insult my intelligence. I know what Chase was doing. I know what you were doing. The accident wasn't just a drunk joyride, was it? She didn't say anything. That silence. That silence told me more than any confession ever could. You tried to pin this on me, I continued, my voice shaking now. You weaponized family guilt, sent me an invoice like I was a contractor fixing your house, and didn't even have the decency to invite me to Christmas while you were plotting this. And now you're going to tell me the truth. Still silence. Then, barely a whisper. I didn't have a choice. I laughed. A sharp, bitter thing that didn't feel like mine. You always had a choice, Emily. You chose this. It was supposed to be one time, she said, her voice breaking. One delivery. He said it was low risk. We needed the money. The dealership was coming after me, and Chase said this would cover the balance. I didn't know. He didn't tell me how much he had. He freaked out and drove into the rail. I didn't even know until after. You signed a felony? I snapped. And now you want me to pay the tab. Because what? Because I'm the idiot who trusted you. I didn't think you'd find out, she said quietly. And that right there? That was the real truth. She didn't think I'd ever look. She thought I'd just take the hit, like I always did. Clean up the mess, protect the family name, and fade into the background like the unwanted backup singer of her perfect little concert. I hung up without another word. 3 days later, I filed a fraud complaint. I had the car's dual registration, the report, the denial from the insurance company, the co-signed loan. I submitted everything to the DA's office and requested immunity as a cooperating witness. I told them I'd hand over everything I knew about Emily and Chase's involvement in exchange for protection, and my name cleared from the debt. The agent I met with, Detective Leonard, wasn't surprised. You're the third person this week connected to Chase, he said, scribbling notes. Seems like your sister's fiancé had quite the little operation going. The words hit me like a slap. Third person. There are others. Leonard gave me a look. The kind of look cops give when they want to say more but can't. But he leaned in, lowering his voice just enough. Your sister's not just involved in a bad relationship. She's part of something bigger, and your statement could help us bring it down. My mouth went dry. All those family dinners. All the memories. The person I grew up with part of something bigger. What did that even mean? I didn't sleep again that night. The truth is, when you find out someone you love has been lying to you for years, it doesn't hit all at once. It's slow. Drip by drip, like water on stone. Until you look in the mirror one day and don't recognize yourself because everything you thought was real isn't. Weeks passed. I didn't hear from Emily again. The invoice remained unpaid. I never responded, but what happened next felt like a bad movie. On a cold January morning, I woke up to banging on my apartment door. Police. Not for me, her. They were looking for Emily. Apparently, she'd gone dark. Stopped showing up to work. Her phone was off. Her apartment empty. Chase was gone too. Gone. The detective called me in that afternoon. She's on the run, Leonard said, sliding a file across the table. We thought maybe she'd talk when we brought her in. Instead, she bolted. And the money she owed. What about it? He looked at me, serious now. She cleared her account 3 days before disappearing. 68 grand, she wired most of it overseas. To where? He hesitated. Thailand. We believe she and Chase used a false identity to get out. I felt the room tilt. My own sister. She didn't just betray me, she vanished. She left everything behind, took whatever money she had and ran. And just when I thought that was the end, another bomb dropped. I was checking my mail one afternoon when I saw a brown envelope, hand-addressed. No return name. Just an international stamp and a shaky scrawl. I opened it. Inside was a photo of Emily. Standing on a beach, smiling. And a note. You always wanted to be the good one. I let you. But you were never better. You were just easier to use. My hands went cold. That photo. That smile. It wasn't remorse. It was pride. She wasn't running from shame. She was running toward freedom. And I fool that I was the stepping stone she used to get there. But the story doesn't end there. Because I wasn't the only one she betrayed. And I wasn't the only one looking for justice. I wasn't the only one she betrayed. And I wasn't the only one looking for justice. After that letter, I stopped trying to convince myself that Emily would ever come back, much less apologize. I was done hoping for closure. Closure is a fairy tale we tell ourselves to avoid confronting the truth. Sometimes the people who hurt us aren't sorry. Sometimes they keep going, keep breaking. And they sleep fine at night while we stare at the ceiling wondering what we did wrong. But I wasn't about to spend the rest of my life being one of her casualties. 3 weeks later, I got another call from Detective Leonard. He sounded different this time. Tired, frustrated. "Do you have a minute?" he asked. "Yeah. We found Chase." My stomach clenched. "Alive?" "Yes." That pause again. "But not well." He told me they'd found him in a dingy hotel outside Chiang Mai, Thailand. He was half-conscious, dehydrated, and overdosed. He had fake passports, burner phones, and cash in 5 different currencies scattered across the room. But no Emily. She wasn't with him. Leonard's silence told me everything. "She left him," I whispered. "She vanished 3 days before the raid," he said. "No footage. No trace. It's like she knew we were coming." A something cold slithered down my spine. "You think she tipped him off?" "We don't think," he said. "We know." I sat down, my knees giving out beneath me. I thought I'd already reached the lowest point in this mess. But betrayal, I was learning, isn't a single wound. It's layered, and every new discovery cuts deeper than the last. "She left him behind to rot," I muttered. "She set him up," Leonard confirmed. "She used his alias to book a boat ticket out of the country. From there, she likely used another identity. She's either a ghost now, or someone's puppet." "What do you mean?" Leonard hesitated, then said, "Your sister wasn't just playing middleman in this. She was running her own game." And just like that, the narrative cracked wide open. Emily wasn't desperate. She wasn't manipulated. She wasn't a pawn. She was the architect. I remembered her as a kid. Smart, strategic, always 5 steps ahead. She used to build elaborate traps for our neighbors' cats just to test how clever they were. She'd set up fake trails, distractions, even little bowls of food. It wasn't cruelty. It was curiosity. She wanted to see if she could outthink instinct. And she always did. That girl had grown into a woman who outsmarted everyone, including me. "She's wanted now," Leonard said. "Interpol is involved. But without more intel, we may not see her again." I hung up, feeling like my skin didn't fit right on my body anymore. Nothing about my life felt real. I was walking through days like a stranger in someone else's nightmare. And then, another twist. That night I got a message from a restricted number. No ID, just a simple sentence: "She's watching you." I stared at it for a full minute before responding. "Who is this?" No reply. The next morning, I found a white envelope taped to my door. Inside was a flash drive. No note. No signature. My hands trembled as I plugged it into my laptop. The screen flickered, then a shaky phone video began to play. It was footage of me, standing at a bus stop, from across the street, from behind a tree, then another clip. Me, outside my office building. Someone zooming in from a parked car, clip after clip. Different days, different angles. But always me. Always being watched. And her voice. "I told you you were never better," she said, her voice cool, detached, just off camera. "You just thought you were." I slammed the laptop shut, my heart thundering. My mouth was dry. My whole body buzzed like a live wire. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was a game. And I was the final piece. I called the police, sent the drive to Leonard, but it was too late. The next morning, my bank account was emptied. My credit cards declined. My email passwords locked. My digital life, gone. Emily hadn't disappeared. She'd leveled up. She was playing a different kind of game now. One where control didn't come from proximity, but from the shadows. From anonymity. And I was her final project. I had no job, no money. My name was still on the loan. I couldn't even prove my identity because every document tied to me had been flagged. Frozen. Under review for suspicious activity. I was erased. It hit me like a slow earthquake. No crash, just an unsteady crumbling. I was being systematically removed from my own life. And then came the final blow. A knock at my door. It was my parents. They hadn't called, hadn't texted, just showed up with blank faces and empty eyes. "We need to talk," Dad said. They sat on my couch like strangers. And they handed me another letter. Not from Emily. From their lawyer. They were suing me. Defamation. Dad said softly. "EM's lawyer says you made false allegations. That you've damaged her reputation. That you've endangered her safety." I laughed. Loud. Bitter. Hollow. "She is the danger," I hissed. "She used me, robbed me, disappeared. And now she's watching me." My mom looked away. "She told us you were having an episode," she said. "That you've done this before. That you'd spiral." My mouth dropped open. "You think I'm making this up?" Silence. She said, "You were jealous?" My dad added. "Always have been." "That you hated her success." My breath caught in my throat. They believed her. Even now. Even after everything. They were here not for truth, but to cover themselves. To distance themselves. To make sure, legally, I couldn't drag them into the mess their golden daughter had orchestrated. That night, I sat in the dark and cried in a way I hadn't cried since I was a child. I cried for the little boy who used to defend his sister from bullies. For the teenager who gave up his birthday money so she could buy a prom dress. For the adult who co-signed a loan, not out of obligation, but love. I cried because love doesn't protect you from betrayal. Sometimes, it delivers it. But crying didn't fix anything. So I stood up. And I fought, not for revenge. Not even for justice. But for the one thing I still had: the truth. I started documenting everything. Built a digital timeline. Recorded my own video confessions. Sent copies to people outside the country, people I trusted. Posted anonymous breadcrumbs online. Just enough to create a trail. If she wanted to play in the shadows, I'd make sure the light followed. I filed a counter lawsuit. Reached out to journalists, podcasters, former clients of Chase's who had been burned. I found another woman. One who dated him before Emily. Who claimed he'd used her name in a fake crypto scheme. She gave me everything she had, and then I posted the truth. Every receipt, every recording, every betrayal. And it went viral. The post went viral. I didn't expect it to. I didn't think anyone would care. But people did. Thousands did. Commented. Sent messages. Strangers from around the world told me they believed me. That they had siblings like Emily. That they'd been gaslit, erased, betrayed by the people closest to them. I wasn't alone. For the first time in what felt like years, I wasn't alone. The thread was simple. No dramatics. No emotional pleas. Just the facts laid bare. Screenshots, audio, loan agreements, the invoice. The footage from the flash drive. The fake lawsuit. The bank freeze. The evidence of Chase and the raid. The sealed investigation, the Interpol warrant. Everything. It was too clean. Too detailed to ignore. And it caught the right eyes. A journalist from The Guardian reached out first. Then an investigative podcaster. Then a YouTube documentary creator with 3 million subscribers. The world wanted to know who Emily was. What she had done. Where she'd gone. I kept my identity anonymous in all the releases. I was just the brother. But people connected the dots. My name trended for 3 days. My inbox overflowed. People wanted interviews. Book deals. Collaboration offers. But I didn't care about fame. I cared about her seeing it. And I knew she did. 2 weeks later, I got another letter. No envelope. Just a single sheet of paper slipped under my door. It was written in her handwriting. I recognized every loop and slash of her cursive. "Congratulations. You finally got your audience. I always said you wanted to be seen." There was no apology. No denial. No explanation. Just that. That twisted, cold little smile in ink. Like I'd played right into her hands. Like this, too, was something she predicted. I burned the letter. And then everything started to unravel. For her, Interpol upgraded her status to red notice. A multinational search was issued. Someone came forward. A man in Manila, who had seen her under a different name. Then another in Croatia. Then someone in Morocco. She was moving in circles now, ducking under every radar, but the net was tightening. And that's when I got the call. It was from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. The voice on the other end was hoarse. Older? and unmistakably familiar. Is this him?" the voice asked. "Yes," I said carefully. "It's your grandfather." I blinked. "Grandpa died 7 years ago." There was a pause. "No, son. That's what they told you." My knees buckled, and I had to sit down. The line crackled. My brain buzzed. "What? She lied to you?" he said. "They all did." He told me everything. And what he told me changed everything I knew about my family. My grandfather hadn't died in 2017. He had faked his death. Left everything behind. Disappeared after a massive scandal involving a biotech investment scam that wiped out dozens of families. I remember hearing whispers as a kid. I remember how my dad would drink too much and say things like, "We're cleaning up your father's mess," before my mom hushed him. Turns out Emily found him. 2 years ago. She tracked him down. Found him living under an alias in Montenegro. And do you know what she did? She blackmailed him. She told him she'd turn him in if he didn't help her. She used his connections. His offshore accounts. His knowledge of vanishing. He taught her everything. She's not running from justice. He told me. She is justice, in her own mind. She's convinced herself that the world owes her something. I was silent, my entire life cracking open beneath me. "You need to stop looking for closure," he said. "She doesn't want forgiveness. She wants power. And now she knows how to use it." I hung up. Numb. That night, I walked for hours, wandering through empty streets under flickering streetlights, wondering what was real anymore. My family was a lie. My sister, a criminal. My parents, cowards. My grandfather, a ghost. And me, I didn't know who I was anymore. Just a man caught in the middle of someone else's war. But fate wasn't done with me. 3 days later, the police knocked again. They'd found her. Not in Europe, not in Asia, but in Arizona. A quiet desert town, under a fake name, working at a real estate office. She'd dyed her hair, gained weight, changed her posture. She was living in plain sight. And someone recognized her from the documentary video. They brought her in, and she smiled. The whole time. Like she'd planned it. I didn't go to the trial. I didn't need to. I'd already lost her years before. Watching her sit there in designer sunglasses, looking bored, like the courtroom was a formality. No, I couldn't stomach it. She took a plea deal, 18 months in federal prison fraud, identity theft, evading authorities. A mountain of charges whittled down with the help of a very expensive legal team. She walked out after 14 months. And disappeared again. No one's seen her since. And I've stopped looking. The lawsuit against me was dismissed. My accounts restored. My name cleared. The debt voided due to criminal fraud. But none of that gave me peace. Because peace doesn't come from justice. Peace comes from acceptance. And that's the part no one tells you about surviving betrayal. It's not the fight that breaks you. It's the part after. The quiet. The space where the rage fades, and all that's left is the memory of who you thought they were. So I moved. Changed my number. Got therapy. Started over. Some days I still wake up wondering if I'm being watched. Some nights I imagine her smile. Crooked, cold, victorious. And I wonder if she'll ever come back. Not for love. Not for family. But for the game. Because to her, that's all this ever was. And maybe, just maybe I was never her brother. I was just her favorite opponent.